in a while. It seemed like I was in a vein that I was kind of flowing a little bit, and I've probably taken probably the last 2, 3 months off because it's going to tie into my topic. Do you know what season you're in? Do you know what season you're in? So important that you know what season you're in concerning your life. There are times and seasons we do certain things. There were 2, 3 months ago, I was putting content out there, encouraging content, spiritual content, business content, a lot of information I was putting out there. That was just the season I was in. And things were flowing, things were coming, and I was just sharing those things. But that season changed. And so as the season changed, then I began to digress. I began to adapt to a new season. And so the question is, you have to ask yourself, do you know what season you're in? A lot of times we try to base our life off of the 4 seasons. Well, I'm coming into the fall, so now I got to do this and that. And for some people that fits, that works. But you have to know the seasons of your life. You have to know that when things are shifting, when seasons of your life is changing, and you have to begin to adapt to those things. Just like we adapt to the different seasons. From summer going into fall. Summer we wore certain clothes because the season um, was conducive or fits to that. But then as we come into the fall, we start to put up summer clothes, and then we begin to put on warmer clothes because the weather changes. The season is changing. We see things begin to die. We see the leaves begin to change. And even in your personal life, seasons doesn't have to change in that aspect, things dying and all that kind of thing. Sometimes you can see a season shift because you see you were doing something, and then all of a sudden you see that what you were doing comes to a halt. And now you got to shift gears, and now you're in a different season. Now you're focusing and doing different things. So it's so important to know the seasons that you're in concerning your life, not the 4 seasons. Know the seasons you're in. Know that in this season, I got to make some adjustments. In this season, I got to do some things differently. Know the season you're in, and you cannot base the seasons of your life off of somebody else. See, sometimes we can get so focused on the seasons that we're looking at people in their season and that they're the season that they're in, and then we try to figure out our life based upon somebody else's season, and that's the wrong way to do it. For myself, I stay in a lot of prayer and consulting God and getting counsel from God to understand the season I'm in, and understand the season I am transitioning into. And so prayer is very key to staying in tune with understanding the seasons of your life. What season am I in? You should know what season you're coming into. You should know this season I have to do some things differently. Some things I have to cut back. Some things, what I did in the previous season, I can't do that in this season. And so you should know the seasons of your life. And like I said, you can't look at somebody else's life and look at, oh, because this person is in this season of their life, and begin to figure out, well, I must, this must, or get envy of them, and then thinking like, well, if they're doing all this, I could be doing so much better. And so sometimes you can't look at the seasons that other people are in and then come to a conclusion and thinking that I should be doing this and much better. Sometimes you got to evaluate the season you're in. And oftentimes, if we don't spend enough time in prayer, or we don't spend enough time not consulting people or spending time with God and getting counsel from God, oftentimes we can miss the season that we're in because we're so busy looking at everything else. We're so busy looking at the wrong things instead of tuning into the right things. So do you know what season you're in? Do you know what season? Do you know what's shifting? Do you know the adjustments that you need to make? There was a short season where, I was training some athletes. That was a short season. It wasn't a season that was meant to be long term. But see, sometimes we can be in a season and what we're doing, we think it's meant for long term. And actually, it was just a short season. It was a short opportunity. But what happens is we can get stuck in a short season thinking it's supposed to be long term, and you missed your moment. Do you know what season you're in? So I had to understand, and this is how life is. You have to understand, like I did, I had to understand that this short season of life, that blessings to you. This short season was just a short season. I had to make that adjustment. Now I'm in a different season, and I can't get stuck in that season. And that's what sometimes we do when we don't know what season we're in, and we're not in prayer, and we're not getting counsel from God, not getting counsel from people. Okay, it's good to have good people in your life, but sometimes you can hear too many voices that you still miss your season, or you don't know what season you're in because you're listening to too many voices. Sometimes you got to get in that nice quiet place and begin to get counsel from God and begin to seek God and saying, Lord, okay, where am I, and where do I need to be, and where am I going? What adjustments do I need to make in this season that's coming up? What is it that I need to be more keenly aware of coming into this next season? And so it's so important that you know what season you're in. So important. You can't base your seasons off of the four seasons. You can't base your season off. No, you must know the season you're in. Sometimes you could be in a season of waiting, but as I'm waiting, I'm still growing in God. So a season of waiting and not sitting around not doing anything. A waiting season is I still need to be productive. I still need to be walking and fulfilling my purpose and fulfilling the things that I know to do. All right. And so that's why it's so important to know your passion and your purpose. A lot of people don't know their passion and their purpose, and they're not, walking in their passion. They're not fulfilling their passion or their purpose. And these passions are something that you're really inspired. It's something that you really desire to do. So it's always good to find your passion and your purpose. Even in a waiting season, you got to stay productive. And most people, when they don't know their season and they don't understand the importance of staying productive, listen, that can set you back. So you want to stay productive. You want to keep doing the things that's helping you grow and mature, but do you know the season? So that waiting season is not a bad season. It's a season of anticipation. It's a season of expectation. But as I'm in a waiting season, let me keep doing the things that's going to keep me close to God. Let me keep doing the things that's going to help me to mature and become everything that I need to be and everything that God is calling me to be. So even in a waiting season, I can still be productive. Even in a waiting season, I can still mature. Is this a season of testing? We all go through moments and seasons of testing where our faith is being tested. Our patience is being tested. Our spiritual maturity is being tested. These things are being tested. And it's okay because it's for our betterment. It's for our development. And so understanding the seasons that you're in and being aware of those things is so important. Because when you understand the season that you're in, you move a little bit more strategic when you understand the season that you're in. All right, the season that you were in before, yeah, you had to move a certain kind of way. But now that you're in a new season, or you're coming into a new season, or now you have to move even more strategic. So know what seasons you're in. Sometimes you have to begin to distance yourself a little bit. And I'm not talking about idleness, but you may need to spend more time with God than you did last season. Maybe that last season you were always busy, always moving, things are happening. But now you come into a season where God wants your undivided attention. And so now when you had all this time to do A, B, C, D, now God is saying, listen, this is a season where I need to prepare you. This is a season I need to impart some things into you. This is a season where you're going to have to spend more time in fasting and praying. This is that kind of season. And so it's so important that you're aware of your season. Do you know what season you're in? Maybe this is the season that you've been praying for, and doors are opening. Opportunities are there. And so now you got to embrace that season. Now you got to walk in that, what you were expecting and anticipating. Now you come to that season. And so now maybe that season you're flourishing, you're maturing, and things are happening. And so you got to embrace that season. That's not a season that, even though all this stuff is going on, this is not a season that you don't rely on the Lord. Because listen, in every season of your life, you need the Lord. Okay, so don't ever get to a place that you think you're too busy to pray. You're too busy. This season is too busy for me to really consecrate myself. Don't ever allow yourself to get into that position where you think you don't need to consecrate yourself, or you don't think that you need to spend that much time with the Lord. Listen, even in busy seasons, we need to strategically find ways to spend time with the Lord and get counsel from the Lord. All right. Yeah, procrastination. In no season that you experience, you want to procrastinate. You want to know when to move and how to move. I'm glad that person said that. But it's so important that you know that no matter what season I'm in, I should not procrastinate. That procrastination is going to bring about a delay. And and if you're like me, I don't need any delays. I need to reach. I need to get to what God is calling me to. I need to get to that place. I need to mature in that area, whatever it may be. So do you know the season? Have you ever sat down and begin to write the vision and make it plain? Whatever you did in the summer, now we're coming into the fall. It's a different season. Not just because of the four seasons, but this is a different season of your life. And now you've transitioned out of a physical season, and now you're coming into another physical season. What is it that I need to do? What is it I need to do? When I kind of think about it, and I look at how animals, the animals, as they go from season to season, the animals don't wait to the fall season to prepare for wintertime. The animals don't do that. When I think about squirrels are not waiting to the fall season to look for food or look for things that's going to help them get through the winter. All right? They're always a step ahead. In other words, they are storing things away, even spring and summer, and they're always storing, they're always preparing. When I think about an ant is always moving, always working, always doing something productive. Even as we look at an ant or we look at a squirrel, they're never waiting they're never preparing for that season in that season. No, it's almost as if they know that this season is coming. And so I need to prepare. And it's the same process. To know what season you're in and what season you're coming into, there's a preparation. All right. There is some meditation. There is taking a step back and assessing where you currently, do you even know where you currently are, what season you're in right now? Because before I can even assess the season I'm coming into, I got to even know where I'm at right now. I have to know. Do you know? And these are the questions that you have to, even, I don't want to just slide in business and things like that, but even in your business, even a business person knows they're going to go through different seasons. And when they've been in business long enough, they know there are seasons where everything is slow. But what they're doing, because they know they're going to come into a slow season, they know that slow season. So what mature businesses and established businesses do, just to give you another example, they're always preparing for that slow season. They know the slow season is coming, but they always know what season that they're in, and they always know what season they're coming into. And that's just from a business perspective. So we've seen it from an animal perspective. They're always preparing. Established businesses, they're always ready for the unexpected or that season that they know is going to be a slow month or whatever the case is. And so that's how you have to consider life. We know things are going to happen unexpectedly. That just comes with life. But do I know the season I'm in? What I've done in the previous season, that was for that time. How you were praying and spending time with God, you maybe had the grace and the time to do it. But now that you're in a different season, there's a different pull. There's a different call of God in this season that wasn't in the previous season. So do you know? What is it that you got to let go of that you were holding on to? In that season, that was what you were dealing with. But as you transition out of that season, are you willing to let go of some things as you transition? One of the worst things you can ever do is, as you transition from one season to another, is carry some baggage into your new season. All right. I don't know about you, but I would love to come into a new season, new time, new moment, new opportunity with a fresh start, not the baggage or things that are going to weigh me down, things that's going to keep me distracted in my new season. Do you know what season you're in? That's a question of self-inventory you got to ask yourself. I know everybody doesn't have a relationship with God. Some people don't even believe in God. And so I understand that. But even in all of that, you still need to know where you are. When you sometimes looking at yourself from a financial standpoint, do you know what season you're in? If you didn't save that much in your last season and you didn't, have good money management in your last season, coming into this new season, and maybe you got new responsibilities, new things is happening, you're going to have to be better steward, more responsible in this season. So we have different moments in different seasons. So the question that I leave you with is, do you know what season you're in? Do you know how you need to transition? Do you know what you need to do in this new season to grow and to mature? Do you know what you need to do in this season that's going to prepare you for your season to come? Because seasons can happen in a moment. Seasons can happen in a moment. Like I said, when I looked at, I was training athletes. That was just a small window. That was a small season. And if I allow myself to get stuck there, I can get frustrated and not understanding my season changed. Whatever I was doing in that moment was for that moment. It's about, what are you doing now? And what are you looking to do? What are you anticipating? What goals, are you projecting? What goals are you looking to accomplish and achieve? Oftentimes when you come into a new season, or the season that you're in, a lot of times there's a lot of new goals and things that you're trying to accomplish. That's important that you know what season you're in. Some seasons are called to mature you and saying, man, I get this season, I got to get some things done. I wasted this last season where I could have done some things. But now that I got the grace in this season, let me get some things done. Because one thing we know, that when we waste time, we can't get that time back. That time is gone. So that's why, time for me is very important. I don't like to waste time, because I know that if I'm wasting time doing nothing or not being productive. Now, there's a time to rest and a time to relax and time to just kind of unwind a little bit. And that's just good, for an individual overall. And there's times for that. But, there's still the space and time that we have. We want to stay productive. We want to continue to challenge ourselves. We want to put goals in place that helps keep us disciplined, that helps keep us focused. And so, know the seasons that you're in. Know that this season here is just a stepping stone to the next season. That not that this season has to be a carryover. Not every season is a carryover. Not every season is a continuum of your last season. Okay? And sometimes we can get stuck there. We're thinking like, man, I did this in this season, and this thing is going to carry over into my next season. And it may not be the case. Not every season works like that. So that's why you have to, be open-minded. That's why you have to be willing to adjust and to adapt. And your flexibility and your adaptability will help you as you adjust from one season to another. It will help you to adjust. It will help you to adapt. It will help you to understand the importance of being flexible. Because, maybe in this season it was very rigid, but in this season you need more flex time. So sometimes you got to let things go. Some things that you were doing in your last season, you can't do it in this season because you ain't gonna have time to do it, and you need more flexible time to do the things that you need to do. So sometimes some seasons is you got a lot going on, but you can't have that as a carryover into your new season, because you may need more space and time to accomplish more important things. You need to focus in on some things, and stop trying to do everything. All right. So I'm saying all that I'm saying to encourage you to examine your seasons, to know the season you're in, and to understand that, I'm also getting counsel from God. I'm also in a place of prayer. I'm also seeking on, where's my life going? What things am I doing that's that's giving me a projection, an overall view of, okay, these things I'm doing right now, but how is this going to help me grow? How is this going to help me mature? How is this going to help me in my next season and seasons to come? But know the seasons you're in. Do you know? And if you don't know, take a few minutes to sit down and begin to process and begin to think through. What are some things that you learned in this season? What are some things that helped you grow and mature in this season that you didn't know in your last season? These are some of the things that you have to process and understand. So the question is, do you know what season you're in? And if you don't, take a few seconds and process that. All right? Sometimes, me as a visionary, I'm always thinking ahead. And that's just me being a visionary. I always see things in advance. But I also have to look at, even though I see things in advance, I understand that I have to yet focus on the now, because wherever I see in advance, that is what's to come. But I got to take care of things now to get to what's to come. Sometimes you can be so focused on what's to come that you never do the things that you need to do now. There's just some things you got to do now. And that's just knowing your seasons. I have to know that this is a season I got to take care of some things now. Because if I don't do it now, no matter what I'm foreseeing as a visionary, no matter what I'm seeing, I'm never going to get to that if I don't focus on my now. I'm never going to get to that if I don't make some adjustments now, if I don't make some changes now. So do you know what season you're in? All right? I tell you, as a visionary, I see things all the time, but I understand I can't get distracted from, I see great things happening, but what am I doing now to get myself ready for great things that's going to happen? And that's what you have to do when you understand the seasons. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do right now. You got to be focused on right now, even though you see your future. Because I know if I do the things that I'm doing now, it's going to help prepare me. And what happens is when I get to that season that you may see, or that season you're expecting, then I know I don't have to focus on what I'm doing now. Because see, what happens is some of the things you won't do, you'll come into a new season and have to do that stuff that you were supposed to do in your last season. And if you'd just did it when you were supposed to do it, you wouldn't be trying to do it now, and you got all this stuff going on. That's why procrastination is not a good thing. That's why, putting it off instead of taking the opportunity with the space and time that you have and getting it done now sometimes. Sometimes you're just in a season of just getting stuff done now. Got to get it done. You got to get it done, because things that's coming down the road, listen, you ain't going to have time to do it. So get it done now. Maybe that's the season you're in. Just get it done now. Whatever it is, don't put it off for tomorrow. Get it done now, because whatever you're foreseeing, and I'm talking about from a visionary standpoint. I'm a visionary. I foresee things. So whatever I'm seeing, listen, I got to take care of my stuff now. So when I get to that season, I ain't got to worry about scrambling and how I'm going to do this. Always staying ahead of the game. I'm not waiting for the moment. I'm preparing for the moment. I'm not waiting for the season. I'm getting myself in alignment with the season to come. It should always be a state of readiness. And even Jesus talks about it. It should always be a state of readiness. We don't know when he's coming back, but we should always be ready. We should always be ready. Bless you, Pastor. We should always be ready. So do you know what season you're in? When I was in school, I knew I was in a season that I got to get this work done. And I can't rush through it, but I got to make sure that I meet my teacher's expectations, because that's the season I'm in. And if I procrastinate in this season, I'm not going to get done with school. If I put off, what I could be doing right now. So a lot of times I did a lot of my assignments ahead of time. Why? Because I knew the season I was in. I had so much going on, and it was important for me to stay ahead of my assignments so I can get my, assignments done, and it freed me up so I can do the things that I may need to be doing in my season. So do you know what season you're in? Do you know? Some people don't know. Some people don't know their purpose. Some people ain't seeking concerning what they're passionate about. Some people are just not. Some people are just not enthused about life, and they're just letting life be what it is. And that's just some people. You know, some seasons, this is a season where you may need to go get it. You may need to make some extra money. That may be that season. This could be your season. Maybe it's some things you got to get done. And this season, you got to pick up a part-time job. This season, you know what? You got to do some things different with your business. This is that season because you need to increase some income because whatever vision you have for your ministry or your business, whatever vision, I got to do this now. And sometimes God will put some things in your spirit or on your heart to do because it's in preparation for the season to come. And so, you know, it's not by coincidence that that idea comes. It's not by that coincidence you make a couple pivot moves in your ministry and your business, and now you're doing some other things, and it may be generating some funds to do more ministry. It may generate some funds to eliminate some debt. It may generate some funds that maybe you're saving because it's a preparation for what's to come. You got to know what season you're in. It's a dangerous thing to know that, you know, you're in a season where you're going to have to do some things you don't want to do and you don't do it. That's a dangerous season. You know, this is a season that you have to do this, or you moving forward or getting to that season you're expecting, and you don't do it. That's a dangerous place to be in. And now you find yourself scrambling, trying to do all this other stuff, is where you had the opportunity, you had the grace to do it, and you didn't do it. Do you know what season you're in? There were some seasons where I got to go get it. And there's some seasons where I can, you know, stay productive, but I can scale back a little bit. Do you know what season you're in? All right. See, for me, when I get done teaching for the school year, I know this is opportunity. I got to go get it. Opportunity is there to go get it. Whether it is to do more ministry, to increase capital, or to do some other thing, I know that's my season to do it. So I got to embrace that time and season that I'm in, because I know when school start back up, that I'm coaching, I'm doing school, I'm doing ministry. So the time that I have in that season is only for that season. But when I come into this season, I'm not going to have the time to do some things. So you have to sometimes, understanding the season of your life, you got to embrace some seasons. Take advantage of the season that you're in to get some stuff done. So I digress. I close with that. It's been a minute, because guess what? 2-3 months ago, I was in that season where I was just doing inspirational stuff, talking about business, talking about credit. I was talking about, you know, how to build your money. I was talking about all the things because that was the season I was in. But the past 2-3 months, it was not a time and season for me to do anything inspirational. Maybe talk about extra spiritual things. It wasn't that I wasn't praying or hearing from God, but I didn't feel compelled to do anything because I understood the season I was in. It was just a time where I was flowing, and then that flow stopped. So God graced me today to talk about seasons, because I understand the season that I'm in, and I'm trying to help you to assess the season that you're in and to make whatever pivot moves, whatever adjustments you got to make, and do some things you need to do now to get prepared for your season. So listen, be encouraged. Appreciate all you tuning in. Feel free to share if I've shared or talked about some things that will help you to kind of reevaluate some stuff. All right. For my YouTubers, always appreciate you guys jumping on. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of inspirational stuff. I still talk about business stuff, all that good stuff. So feel free. Definitely a lot of spiritual stuff, because I want to give you spiritual guidance and impart into you the spiritual things that God may put on my heart or put within my spirit to share. So definitely subscribe and to my Facebook family, friends, all that good stuff. Always appreciate you guys tuning in when you do. Feel free to share this video. I'm going to also share my YouTube link in the caption. So in case if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can definitely subscribe. I think I've created over 1,000 videos, and so That's a milestone for me. So I'm pushing for 2,000. You know, I'm pushing for 2,000 videos. I want to get more content, more information, more impartation out to you all. So I would greatly appreciate if you guys share some of the content. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I always put our giving links because there are people that desire to give if I've said something that resonates within your spirit. So if I have and you felt led to sow a seed, feel free to sow a seed. I'm not doing it to get a seed sown, but I do it because God put it on my heart to do. But I do know people like to give and like to sow seeds. So I always put my giving information just in case, you know, you may feel led to do something, feel led to give. Definitely join us on tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. is our worship and word experience. I'm in a unique season as far as ministering. And so God is having me do a whole lot more reading and digesting his word. And he's giving me a word based upon my study time and my reading time. And so it's just not God just dropping a thought or dropping something in my spirit. I'm just doing some reading. God is leading me to scriptures and passages of scriptures that I'd either never read or sending me to scriptures that I may have read, and he led me back to it, and he's showing me some things in his word. So that's just the season I'm in. So definitely tune in tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. is our worship experience. We go live at 11 a.m. So feel free. If you have not been fellowship with us in person, we definitely encourage you to come on out. We do have youth church. I know most people don't know that, but we try to put it on our flyer. We do have youth church every Sunday. So if you have young people, you have your children, sons, daughters, and you want to just enjoy the worship experience, we have those who are anointed and equipped to serve and love on your children as you're in the worship experience. So listen, come on out and fellowship with us on Sunday morning. We would love to have you come on fellowship. Listen, be blessed, be encouraged. I pray that what I've shared has blessed you. But begin to evaluate what season you're in, and do you know what season you're in? So be encouraged. Thank you for tuning in.